The animal kingdom truly is diverse, and it's such a shame that we common people know so little about it. We want to remedy that by presenting you with 10 animals you should know about. Make sure you stay tuned until number 1, where you're gonna meet an animal that may have come straight from your nightmares. Number 10. The pink fairy armadillo. No, it doesn't have wings or the ability to grant you wishes, but the pink fairy armadillo is quite cute in its own unique way. This particular species of armadillo generally ranges between 90 to 115 millimeters in length, excluding its tail, and will weigh less than a pound. Similarly, this is the only species of armadillo that has its dorsal shell almost completely separate from its body. This unique animal resides in the dry grasslands and sandy plains of central Argentina. This sandy environment works well for the pink fairy armadillo since they are excellent diggers. In fact, they have the ability to completely bury themselves in a matter of seconds if threatened. The pink fairy armadillo uses their digging abilities to burrow in areas besides large ant colonies. Ants provide a constant food source for this species of armadillo, as well as they may also forage on worms, snails, and plant matter, but ants are their number one choice. Unfortunately, due to habitat destruction, the population of the pink fairy armadillo is decreasing, and they have been listed as threatened since 1970. Number 9. The blue dragon. When most people think of slugs, they probably think of the ugly yellow and green blobs that plague their gardening patch. But these crawly creatures are not exactly the most graceful or captivating creatures. But then there's the blue dragon sea slug. Blue dragons are part of the nudibranch family, a group of soft-bodied mollusks most commonly known as sea slugs. Though they look like the left-behind offspring of some alien creatures, these bizarre creatures are 100% earth-bred. They're actually not all that different from your average garden snail, just a lot more colorful, but often quite poisonous, so look but don't touch. Although they are all quite beautiful with a wide range of colors and specialized appendages, the blue dragon is the most visually stunning and fascinating by far. When fully extended, it looks like an alien dragon flying through the water on their colorful tendrils known as serrata. Blue dragons are known to go after much larger creatures, including the notoriously lethal Portuguese man-o'-war. Not only is the blue dragon immune to its sting, it's able to process the man-o'-war's nematocytes. These are the cells that allow for the creature's deadly sting and store them in its own extremities. Number 8. The pursue. Have you ever seen a fish with human teeth? Well, neither have I, except for in my nightmares. Well, either way, I met this strange-looking creature from the Amazon that was from my nightmares. Pursues are a large family of freshwater fish related to the piranha. However, while some species of pursue do look like piranhas, they are actually herbivores and an extremely peaceful species of fish. One of the primary differences between the two is that the piranha's teeth are triangular and razor sharp, and the pursue's teeth are more square-shaped and human-like. Yeah, that is just disturbing to look at. These fish do make for amazing pets, though. In fact, pursues are also known to develop personalities as they grow older and can sometimes recognize their owners. These fascinating behaviors make them a popular choice among aquaria enthusiasts. But don't think you can just rush off to any pet store and buy one of these guys. They can get so big they tend to become a handful. An adult pursue can be over 30 inches long and will need to be kept in a pond or an enormous tank. Number 7. The slow loris. The slow loris is a nocturnal creature found in Southeast Asia. While very adorable, they can be quite dangerous, especially to humans. The loris's teeth are actually quite venomous. The toxin on their teeth especially can also be applied to fur through grooming to protect its babies from predators. But despite its toxicity, they are kept as pets in some countries. And sometimes when they're kept as pets, their teeth are clipped to prevent envenomation, which is honestly pretty cruel actually. Keeping them as pets is highly illegal though. Oftentimes these creatures forage and spend time alone, although on occasion can be seen with other slow lorises. Aside from their toxic teeth, the slow lorises have another defense mechanism in which they move nearly completely silently in order to prevent discovery. Slow lorises are in serious danger of extinction, with their biggest threat to survival being the illegal trade in wildlife. Having a slow loris as a pet encourages the trade and therefore pushes these extraordinary animals closer to extinction. Number 6. The Angora rabbit. These cute fluffy rabbits are among the hairiest breeds of rabbits of both wild and domestic types. They're usually bred for their long, soft wool, but they make great pets as well. Their origins are uncertain, but the generally accepted theory is that French sailors brought the rabbits back to Europe from Ankara, Turkey, formerly known as Angora, because they wanted to create the same beautiful shawls that the native women wore. The American Rabbit Breeders Association recognizes 4 different Angora rabbit breeds: French, English, Satin, and Giant. The English breed is distinguished by fur on its face and ears, the Satin version has finer and softer hair than the other breeds, and the Giant Angora is the biggest breed, weighing at least 9.5 pounds. The Angora wool industry has been a target of criticism by animal rights activists who claim that the rabbits are scared and injured in the process of harvesting the wool. According to PETA, 90% of Angora wool comes from China, where there are no regulations about how rabbits must be treated. Although this is coming from PETA, so take that with a grain of salt. Number 5. The axolotl. Looking more like a Pokemon rather than the real animal, the axolotl, or Mexican salamander, is often spotted in lakes in various places around Mexico. This tiny salamander has the rare trait of retaining its larval features throughout its adult life. This condition, called neoteny, means it keeps its tadpole-like dorsal fin, which runs almost the length of its body, and its feathery external gills, which protrude from the back of its wide head. What makes them so different from other salamanders is that they live permanently in water. In extremely rare cases, an axolotl will progress to maturity and emerge from the water, but by and large, they are content to stay on the bottom of the lakes and canals. Axolotls are long-lived, surviving up to 15 years on a diet of mollusks, worms, insect larvae, crustaceans, and some fish. Accustomed to being a top predator in its habitat, this species has begun to suffer from the introduction of large fish into its lake habitat. Natural threats include predatory birds such as herons, though. Populations are sadly in decline as the demands of nearby Mexico City have led to the draining and contamination of much of the waters in the lakes. They are also popular in the aquarium trade, and roasted axolotl is considered a delicacy in Mexico, further shrinking their numbers. They are considered a critically endangered species. Number 4. The bearded vulture. The bearded vulture, or lammergeier, is one intense bird. It lives on a steady diet of bones and dyes its feathers blood red, giving it the reputation of one of the most metal birds in the animal kingdom. Their name in German means lamb vulture, and they definitely do earn that name because they are called as such because they have a nasty reputation of carrying off lambs and calves. Of course, they've been rumored to carry off children as well, but there is no evidence that points to that. It's probably just an old wives' tale designed to scare naughty German kids, at least if their lullabies didn't scare them first. As mentioned earlier, these guys are highly specialized feeders, dining entirely on bones. 80% of the bird's diet consists of bone and bone marrow. Its stomach acid has a pH of about 1, so the dense material can be digested in under 24 hours. Due to the nature of its, hard diet, it's primarily a scavenger. After finding a picked-over carcass, the bird will drop it from a tremendous height to shatter it into swallowable pieces. Bearded vultures even have favorite breaking spots that are ominously called ossuaries. Besides bones, they also eat small lizards and turtles. Number 3. The blobfish. The blobfish has been voted the ugliest animal in the world back in 2013, and that's just mean, guys. Apparently people still think it's ugly because it still reigns supreme on that title to this very day. The blobfish has small eyes, a gelatinous appearance, a large mouth, and a relatively small body and fins to go with it. If being named blobfish wasn't bad enough, the rest of its family gets little love either. The blobfish is a member of the Cycrolutidae family of fishes, commonly known as fathead sculpins, due to the size of their heads and generally floppy appearances. God, I just kinda wanna hug this thing, I feel bad for it. As it turns out, the blobfish has good reason to be so ugly. As it turns out, its habitat shaped it that way. Blobfish live in deep water just off the ocean floor around southeastern Australia and Tasmania. At depths of 2,000 feet or greater, the water pressure is crushing, more than 60 times that of water at the surface. If you lived down that deep, you'd probably be squished into a blob too. Fortunately for the blobfish, they've adopted a way of living that allows them to survive just fine as a blob in the deep ocean. They tend to just float along just off the bottom of the sea, eating whatever happens to float right in front of them and is small enough to fit into their mouths. Now it's time for the day's best pick. Today we're going to be looking at something that looks like a giant cockroach, but don't worry, it doesn't fly, so you can lower your flip-flops now. Number 2. The giant isopod. Looking like it just crawled out of a bad science fiction movie, the giant isopod is without a doubt one of the strangest creatures found in the deep sea. is the largest known member of the isopod family, a group of crustaceans closely related to shrimp and crabs. The giant isopod is also related to these small pill bugs that you can find in the garden. In fact, this insect-like creature is sometimes referred to as the giant pill bug. Giant isopods are not usually fished commercially, although some can be found in the occasional oceanside restaurant in northern Taiwan. This is where they're boiled and served with rice. Appetizing. The enormous size of the giant isopod is a result of a phenomenon known as deep-sea gigantism. This is the tendency of deep-sea crustaceans and other animals to grow to a much larger size than similar species in shallow waters. It can grow to a length of over 16 inches, which makes it one of the largest members of the crustacean family. Like its terrestrial cousin, the pill bug, the giant isopod's body is protected by a hard shell that is divided into segments. This allows it to be strong and flexible at the same time. When threatened, this animal can roll itself into a ball to protect its vulnerable underside.
I saved the best for last, but first, I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. If you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it, it really works.
Number 1. The Japanese spider crab. As the name suggests, the Japanese spider crab inhabits the waters surrounding Japan. In many parts of Japan, this crab can be considered a delicacy, but can be considerably difficult to catch. Despite its spindly spider-like appearance, the Japanese spider crab is absurdly huge. Scientists and researchers estimate that this crab can weigh up to 44 pounds and can have a leg span of 13 feet at their largest. Not only does this mean that this crab could actually tower over you if it wanted to, but it can also make it the largest crab in the entire world. It is important to note, though, that this creature really is mostly legs, with its body only reaching about 1.5 feet across in size. They're not exactly hunters, but these crabs have been known to eat algae, kelp, mollusks, slow-moving invertebrates, and the dead bodies of any creature that happen to be floating around. In fact, this last option seems to be their favorite, as they seem to prefer to scavenge dead flesh rather than kill things themselves. Ancient mariner legends tell that these crabs used to actually drag sailors overboard and eat them alive in the depths of the ocean. Well, that's pretty unlikely. It is probably true that these crabs would enjoy the opportunity to pick apart the occasional dead sailor who had washed overboard. Which incredible animal are you most curious about? Let us know in the comment section down below. Want to watch more incredible videos about amazing animals? Click on any of the videos you see on your screen. As always, everybody, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody.